guys, so today I'm going to talk about the time I did jury duty and the time where I voted guilty and put a man in jail basically. So what is jury duty? Jury duty is basically when you sit on a panel of judges in a courtroom and you decide whether the person that's being prosecuted is guilty or not. So how it all started, I got this little letter in the post and on the back I looked at the address and it said Her Majesty's Court. So when I saw this address I completely freaked out. I just thought, what have I done? Why have I got a letter from the courts? Have I been naughty? But no, it was all fine, and basically it was just a pink letter and it said jury summons, and that just basically said I've got to go and be part of a jury. So I was a bit nervous at first, but I was actually really excited to do this. So on the day that it actually happened, I went to the wrong courtroom, which was just not a good start to the day. And then he directed me to the right room, and when you walk into this big court building, there's massive security gates and loads of like officers basically. So you have to walk through the gates, and they will do this every time you enter the court, and they will just like, sometimes they might scan you over just like to see if you've got any sharp objects on you. But I know one of the girl that was doing jury service would bring like a knife in to eat her lunch with, and they never really had a problem with that, which is a bit strange, but obviously they might have known she was on jury duty, but that's a bit weird, don't you think? Bit scary. So on the first day we went through the gate and I didn't know where to go, so they directed me and we went in this huge room. There was loads of people, obviously loads of people do it, so there was good like maybe 50 people in this one little tiny room, so it was a bit like, oh, it's so many people. So in that room they will just check your ID, make sure you are who you are basically, and then you'll get directed to the jury reception room. It's like basically just the chilling room for all the jury members. So we go in this room, and when we sit down they will just play a shortish video just explaining what's going to happen and what to expect basically. So yeah, that happened, and in this room you get comfy sofas with like a big TV on the wall, which is kind of nice, but you have to sit like right near the telly or you won't hear a thing because it is quite quiet. So that always had like daytime telly on, which I am a fan of personally. And then they had like canteen style tables, and they had like vending machines with like coffee, biscuits, crisps, stuff like that, anything you want really, and drinks, which was kind of helpful. But I never really ate there. I don't know why, I just was never in the mood. And although there's a lot of people in this room, people will be going in and out to like go to different courtrooms. You're not allowed to leave this room until it's a lunch break, so be warned of that. So make sure you bring books, games, anything to keep you occupied, because you will spend a lot of time in this room. So in our room where we were spending most of our time, there was a massive window, so it did feel more open and there was not as claustrophobic, so there was a lot of room and light, so it was nice and cozy really. I like that room. So after that I waited the entire full day and I was not called to be on part of any courtroom or anything like that. So when I was called, it was finally like 4 o'clock or something. It was right at the end of the day, so all we had time to do was basically go in this room and do certain things. So there's an usher and they will take you to the courtroom after you are called. So they will list like a list of 15 names, I think it is, and then all them people have to go and wait. So outside the courtrooms there's like a little waiting area for all the jury people to just wait while they're sorting things out in the courtroom. So that's again another place I spent a lot of my time, because my court case had so many delays and stuff like that. So we went in the courtroom and we have to stand by the door, and then there's a person in front of the like important judge, and he will read off 12 of the 15 names, and if you're called you will get to go and sit on the jury seats and you will be part of that court case basically. So I was called, thankfully. At the beginning of that they will like read off what the case is about, so you kind of get to know what's happening and if you're going to want it or not. And then after all of them juries are picked, the person being prosecuted will then have a chance to say if he recognises anyone, and you will be listed a name of potential witnesses and stuff, and if you recognise anyone you must say it and you can't be part of that court. So after all them people are gone, we basically just sit in our seats and then it's time to swear by the Bible. So you can swear by any other religion or anything you've got, but all our group did the Bible. So they will pass around a little card of something you've got to read and a Bible that you must like hold up. So the card basically just said something like, I will listen to the evidence carefully, I will not make assumptions, and I will do my best to do it properly basically. So that's all that said, and it's kind of nervous because you're like talking in a quiet courtroom with a scary judge, someone being prosecuted, all the other juries and the lawyers. So I was a bit nervous about that because I hate public speaking, which is funny, but I don't like it. So that was the end of that day. So after that I had a case basically. So this case had loads of delays and ours did last about a week and a half, and the case we got was rape. So it is a serious case and I was kind of glad I got something like that because it made me more invested into it and wanting to find out the truth. So in our case we had loads of evidence, witnesses and stuff like that. So we watched a video of the woman who claimed to be raped being interviewed and all her side of the story. This case was from 1997, so it was a long time ago, which kind of made it more difficult. And then we had like witnesses, like her police officer that interviewed her and people that arrested the guy and what he said, because he made like a derogatory comment when he was arrested about the girl, so that was kind of more evidence for her. So we also got to, you don't have to if you're being prosecuted, but the guy that was being prosecuted decided to go and be interviewed in front of us, which personally I don't think really helped his case. It kind of made me feel a bit weird about him. He was in a wheelchair, so prior to everything that happened in 1997 he had a few strokes and stuff, so he was in a wheelchair and he wasn't very capable now, but there was just something about him, and him being interviewed in front of us didn't help his case. We also got to see the girl. She decided to come in. We had watched a video of her interview, but she decided to come in, so she was behind one of them stands, but we could see her, just the guy couldn't see her, and she got really emotional and like defensive at points when the lawyer was like firing questions. If you've seen Law and Order, you know what I mean. It's kind of like a tense atmosphere, which I love Law and Order Special Victims Unit. I think that's why I was so excited for this. So that's kind of exactly how it is basically, just not as dramatised as it is on the show. So after all that happened, like this guy, he kept passing notes to his lawyer and like looking for excuses to like delay the case and like wanting to go for the toilet and stuff like that. So it was just a weird case in general. So after all that happened, the two lawyers will sum up their argument to the jury. So basically it's like a closing statement, and then the main head judge guy, he was there to just like explain in detail legal terms and stuff like that to us. So he was there just to basically help us and guide us. At the end of the whole case he will go through every little last thing. So this will take a good maybe 2 hours. It's a long time. He will go through every piece of evidence, every piece of statement, anything that happened during the case. He will go through and just read it all off, so we hear it all again like freshly. And then after that another usher is sworn, and they have to say that they won't talk to us about the case, they won't influence us or anything like that. And then we are taken to this really like private secret room, and this is where we start our deliberations. So this is basically just this like really chilled room. It's nothing scary, and this is basically, you put your phones in a locked cupboard because you can't have your phones in this room because it's super like secret and private, and you're not supposed to really say anything about what's happened. And if you're caught recording like in the case or when you're deliberating, you will be arrested and charged. It's really serious that you don't do this. So when we were deliberating, we have to put a head person in charge, and we picked this guy, and he'd been in like something to do with children and keeping them safe or something. So he was our head guy, so he's the one who has to stand up in court and say if the guy's guilty or not. So you basically just have to pick the most confident person, and this is the guy we picked, and he kind of took over the whole deliberations. He asked us questions and he kept going around the table and asking what everyone's thoughts were, which he was really good at doing what he did, and I'm glad I picked him to be in charge. So in our case this lasted about 2 days deliberating maybe, and this is because there was a couple of people who were determined that there's not enough evidence really to prove him guilty. Like, how did she get a leg like this? It just kind of doesn't make sense. But we all talked about it, and in the end we decided he was guilty. So if you can't actually get to a full round like verdict, then they would go for the majority vote, but I think that's to take a good while before they can do that. But we did, after discussing it, discover he was guilty. So there was a woman in the deliberations, and she kept getting really emotional. I don't know if she hadn't been raped, but I know something had happened to her, so it was a bit awkward because she was getting like upset, and one time she burst out crying, and it was just like, oh god, this is so serious. But yeah, so, and there was another girl who just thought he was guilty straight away. She like, that's her thoughts, and she just did not sway from that opinion whatsoever. So me personally, I thought he was guilty. Like, some of the evidence for him didn't add up, and some of the things he was saying, like sometimes he said he didn't have this car when it happened, but he did, and it didn't work out in his favour. And at one point when he got arrested, he called her that silly little lesbian, and he then claimed that he didn't know her, but he kind of basically knew of her. So it was just like really like complicated case because it was so long ago, but we decided he was guilty, and that's basically the time I put someone in jail. So you can find out the sentence he got like a week or a month after the case. Then you can ring up and just say the guy's name and ask what was his sentence, what did he get in the end. And I personally don't want to do that because I don't want to know, because I know he's guilty, but some part of me feels a bit guilty myself. Like, I put someone in jail and it's not a particularly nice feeling, but I thought he was guilty, so I just should stick with my gut instinct, you know. So yeah, I don't want to know how long he got. I know he's going to jail for a bit, but who knows what happens. It's all a big mystery. Maybe in the future I'll find out, but right now I'm okay with just knowing that I did my best to pick that verdict, and I'm happy with that. So yeah, that is the time I voted guilty and put someone in jail. So I would do jury duty again. Like, I love it. You're not allowed to not do it. So I would love for them to send me another letter because I had so much fun, and I wish I could have done like more cases, and I felt like so lucky getting such a serious case. So it was a good experience, and if you get the opportunity to do it, you should definitely do it. And don't be nervous because everything's fine. They all look after the jury members so well. So it was fun. I remember at one point though, I saw this guy. He was outside the front of the courts when I was leaving, and I was like, oh my god, he's a real person. So I did feel a bit like wobbly at one point, but it's all fine. You got nothing to worry about. Go with your gut instinct, and if something doesn't add up, it doesn't add up, and make sure you discuss everything properly with all your other members. So I hope this video let you know more about the experience I went through, and I know some people won't really be interested in this, but I would be interested in watching videos like this, and I want to keep it for future, like, me to look back on, because it was like an important big thing in my life to do this, because not everyone gets the opportunity. So I feel a bit lucky and special. So that's this video. I'll be back to normal videos and stuff like that from now on. So thank you for watching, and like this video and subscribe. Bye!